For decades, the governments in the free world used to give lessons in democracy in terms of presidential elections and freedom of speech. Well, nobody could argue that these things are main criteria of democracy. Wars in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya were justified by liberating their people and bringing them democracy.
And we're showing them the definition of American justice.
However, there are several recent examples in which the U.S. calls dictator legal governments. It's remarkable that the U.S. and the EU promoted the regime change in Ukraine in terms of the EU would like to have a democratic state in its neighborhood rather than a dictator regime. If it's about presidential elections, which one reached power without elections? Yanukovych or Yatsenyuk?
About 3,000 foreign election observers declared that despite a few irregularities, the first round of Ukraine's presidential election on January 17th met international standards for honesty. João Soares is president of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly, which facilitates dialogue among members of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe.
This election was a very good election. It was an election of high quality. It offered the voters a genuine choice between candidates.
At the end of a bruising, ill-tempered campaign, pro-Moscow opposition leader Viktor Yanukovych emerged to declare himself Ukraine's new president.
Що це ви робите?
Ваші часи, які тут, якщо не позарядувати, вони по цими людьми посуть ставка приводу собі. Що ти буде?
When a man of radical views, Najeeb joined Ukraine's ultra-nationalist party in 1991. In the Chechen War, he fought alongside the militants and prides himself on personally hitting 3 tanks and killing a number of Russian soldiers. He's previously been accused of organizing an assassination attempt on a fellow party member.
Well, it seems that elections have become worthless for the U.S. Chavez was also a democratically elected dictator for them. It's not different with Syria. In contemporary history, we always used to hear about the opposition demanding elections, while the ruler rejecting it, except for Syria. It's the Syrian government who is calling for elections, while the opposition is rejecting it, with the U.S. from behind. Here is, for example, the CNN at the emergence of protests in Kiev in January, talking about dictator legislations. The legislation seriously undermines the freedom of assembly, media, privacy, and civil society. Now the dictatorship has vanished and the American spring of democracy has flourished. And here is the first fruit of this spring.
The head of Ukraine's state TV.
The Ukrainian member of parliament and deputy head of Ukraine's Committee on Freedom of Speech with his colleagues are convincing the director of the TV channel to resign in a very soft, democratic manner. Why? Because he broadcasted Putin's speech on his TV.
They were angry that the company had broadcast the Russian parliament signing a treaty with Crimea. Ironically, the man with the ponytail is the deputy head of Ukraine's Committee on Freedom of Speech.
Further, a number of Russian channels have been banned in Ukraine, and the satellite provider that used to provide services for RT was threatened by gunmen.